Hi everyone, welcome to Sage Thyme. I'm Lillian here with you today for another daily read with our Oracle deck. Maybe some Tarot. No, not Tarot today. Oracle and whatever else happens. Today's another wonderful fly by the seat of spirits tailcoats. So I will be using the Forest of Enchantment cards. These wonderful, I love these cards. They're so spirited, and the artistry is just, the love behind it is very transparent. Also a new deck, Seasons of the Witch. This is the Mabon Oracle deck. And an overall general from our friends Victoria and, oh gosh, I don't remember the artist's name. I have it here. I want to say it. So the artist is Juliet Montgomery, and of course we know Victoria Neilson in her wonderful Veritas Oracle deck that they put together. So that'll be our overall general read, and we'll see what wants to be said from those. But first, let's be together. I have been doing some wonderful things over this past Venus retrograde synodic cycle. It is a exact synodic cycle return for me. So this is an exact 8-year cycle on that crosses over through my birth chart with Venus. And so I really spent so much time first in contemplation of every former 8-year cycle in my life. So I've had 6, right? You can do the math. 6 synodic cycles, and what the trends were. Both trends that did not feel good and trends that were uplifting. Just all the different nuances and variations that really came together and made a beautiful tapestry of Venusian themes and these 8-year cycles and what they represent that is carried out for the next or for the following 8 years. And then I opened up a lot to what it was that I needed to learn that was beyond my conceptual understanding, and themes around self-love, not a new conceptual understanding, but themes around self-love that just goes deeper and deeper than anything I've ever had presented to me, because I hadn't taken the time to gift myself contemplation and opening and allowance of self-love. And part of that for me was the requirement of a daily practice of meditation, which I didn't always do. But I would slip or not do it, and I would lean into trust and knowing, and I'd pay attention. Why am I not doing it? What is that teaching me and showing me and telling me? And is this all in alignment? And the answer was always yes, 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 yes. So I wasn't hard on myself, because my diversions or off-trackness, if you would put it that way, were conscious. I stayed present with it, and I looked into the whys and hows without shaming myself and blaming myself. And boy howdy, what an amazing 3 months of reflection and development in enriching and comprehensive ways of self-love that is very specific to me, and sometimes very contradictory to what cultural and subcultural descriptions of self-love are. Even the more modern, for lack of better terms, new age ways of seeing self-love don't always find accuracy for me, and it isn't in my best interest. And so looking into that and seeing like that doesn't make them wrong in any area of what people would define as self-love. It makes them where they're at, and it doesn't make me wrong. It makes me exactly right where I'm at. So self-love, higher trust. And one of the new things I've incorporated into my life of a few really wonderful things. I have been building up something I've always dreamt of, and that's my herbal apothecary. Wow, apothecary. I can't say the word all of a sudden. Anyway, all my herbs. I have created a garden of medicinal herbs that I am going to develop my practice and hopefully guide others in how to connect with the medicine of plants simply by being present with them. And then additionally, because sometimes we need that extra boost, I am building up my dried herb supply. It's been wonderful and fun, and then creating a tea ritual. So here today, I have my little teapot steeping, and I am going to enjoy it in the presence of you, whomever you are, whenever you are here, and in whatever way you are here. You are most welcome in all love and respect and honor for whatever here means for you. So this little tea blend is a mixture of hyssop, oat straw, a couple of juniper berries, and a pinch of hijiki seaweed. I like to get a little crafty. It's all an intuitive blend for me today. If you want to look them up, or you know the benefits of these medicinally, energetically, or just feel into it and see what comes up, comment what you think this combination, hyssop, oat straw, juniper berries, and hijiki seaweed, what they might bring to someone. I'd love to hear that from you. So let's take a sniff, because experience happens with all the senses, not just taste, not just the five senses. I love the subtlety and everything that stands out when that subtlety is present and you connect with it. Salud. Okay, here's our reading. Thank you for that little tea time moment. Next time I do a reading, bring your tea and share what your tea is in the comment, even if you'd like. And, I already shuffled these. We'll have tea together before our reading. It is a cozy, rainy, beautifully dreary northwest, Pacific Northwest, rainy autumn day. For those who celebrate, happy Mabon, and those in the Southern Hemisphere, blessed Ostara. I don't know why I did an accent. Okay. And here's our Veritas tarot card, Courage. I love the artistry on this. It just makes my heart poof. All right, courage. It takes wholehearted courage and resolve to bravely reach for what you desire, especially when it matters. That is something that has been a big theme for me in particular. The ideas that I had around what courage is and was, and they aren't wrong. But I didn't even want to, it happened for me. Courage started blossoming in a way that showed me really what courage was at a more core, truer level. And I mean that in the sense of the inner child, the part of us that is in beginner's mind, that is in zero point flow movement, the Fool card, right? The child. And that is a big piece of a part of all of us that can go so much further in calling forth and even remembering the parts that we don't remember. And then when those come up and out, letting ourselves be that courage. Sometimes it's extraordinarily whimsical and frivolity and exuberance, and sometimes it throws fits and loves the rage of it, not at others, and not in a way that hurts or harms others or is a detriment, but in a way of our own needs, like finding the space and the time to be all the things, build forts in the woods, go for a walk that's a quarter of a mile and let it take 2 hours as you look at all the flowers and you touch the plants and you just stop and you space out and stare at the clouds or a post on a fence. That is a different kind of courage. And I'm going to look here and see. There's a lot of information on these wonderful cards, and I want to see what stands out for me. Yeah. Courage is simply a heart word about being brave, compassionate, and understanding and loving, especially when it matters. And what matters more than the courage to be the truth of yourself? And we live in a world and a time and today when there's these two polarities of nobody likes anybody else right now. Generally, there's this kind of energetic theme that we're oscillating in and out of. And yet we're also paradoxically in a time where everything of everybody is acceptable. There's always a platform that fits an individual, and there's always a public that is drawn to it. And what makes, I think, a platform truly successful in the truest sense of the word, satisfaction and spiritually fulfilling, is when the individual on the platform, whether it's something like YouTube or social media, or it's the farmer's market, or simply walking around and speaking with people and sharing your love and your energy, whatever it is, if it gives you joy, then I am finding that you just overflow with more joy. I love being in service in a way that's really generous, and I love gifting things that I craft and make and artisan. And yeah, I could really use the I used to think, I need to be able to sell it and so forth. But when I found that I could step into with courage the true, like full powered joy of that generosity, and allow that joy to be the reverberation that's given more than the item, that reverberation is brought back to me. And it's brought back to me in the form that allows me to perpetuate that. So if I love making necklaces, which is something I do love to do with energetics and my precious stones and all kinds of wonderful things, it's one of the things I love. So if I do that, and I love doing it, and I love giving it away, there will be, and I can do that without letting any fear of, oh, how am I going to afford to buy more materials to make more? And how am I going to, the signature of energies that come with lack programs and needing to get programming. I don't know how to describe that better. When I can let those, I worked with those and let those dissipate and just be in the joy, just be in the trust, just be in that childlike truth of it's all going to work out. Because when we were young, we just kind of knew it was, at least in certain areas of our life. That's for me real courage, right? So I spent a great deal of time on that card, but I tell you, it has a lot of really beautiful things to say. I feel like we could spend the entire segment today just on the elephant card. All right, here we go with Seasons of the Witch, the Mabon version. And for those who aren't sure about Mabon, Mabon is one of the names for the autumnal equinox. So, well, okay. Okay, I read this incorrectly. So we've got, God, these cards are so fascinating. Queen of the Dead. Look at that beautiful new moon above her. She has her own specific adornments that are symbolic to what is sacred within her from her journey. And it says below it, "Fear not the rage of fire living within, for it is the power of your fierceness waiting for you, waiting to taste you fully. Fear not the rage of fire living within you, for it is the power of your fierceness waiting to taste you fully." So when I think about cards like the death card or the death and transformation, and this one to me is a death and transformation. If I were to split up, it's number 31. 13 in Thothro is Thoreau is the death card, and that is also the marking of the initiation of the process of death, whether it's the end of a cycle of job or relationship, or a transition from one age range to another, from child to maiden to mother to wisdom, also called crone. 13 represents the initiatory mark of that beginning of death and transformation, when the fall leaves pile up on the ground and the apples from the trees and all the acorn shells all come together and they weigh on top of each other, layer after layer, creating a compression. And through the seasons of autumn and winter, and the weathers, it all breaks down and it makes this incredibly nutrient-rich soil filled with all kinds of new worms and beetles and life forms, adding to the health of everything and everybody. And 31 to me marks the point that is the culmination of that initiation, the time when the harvesting and the decomposing and the alchemy of something within that time has now created a product, and not necessarily a product that is in the material sense. I'm feeling from this card, really, it's a product that is within and an emulation of the self, and a product that has layers, like the layers of the compost. It has layers of opening and revealing to oneself. And so that, I'm going to draw one more card. I feel like there was something more that wanted to be said, but let's see what wants to come forward. I see the image of the snake. I thought it was hands at first, above her and around the moon. And it's an image that's breaking through the veil, showing the stars in the sky behind it. So there's like this veil that says, oh, this is the night sky and these are the stars. And the snake, which is entirely representative of death and transformation, is breaking through that veil of illusion and showing you the true constellation, the true higher reality of your life. That was the message that was trying to come through. Thank you, Spirit. There it is. Number 35, shape-shifting. I'm going to tilt it a little because of the light. And it says, transformation is not the loss of what once was. It is the evolution of a more powerful self. Well, there it is, right? Yeah. And look at her. She's taken off this mask, and the true face of who she is isn't angry or obstinate or asleep, nor is it jovial and pleasantries and all of that. It's simply the core of her. It's simply her. Okay. I wanted to also say, when the Queen of the Dead, it says, fear not the rage of fire living within you. The beauty of rage presenting within oneself, whether it's at the high end of the scale as like rage and anger, or some of the lower octaves or hidden ones that appear as frustration or irritation with people and others or the world and all the things, or self, and all the things in between: frustration, irritation, judgment versus rage and anger. When that's presenting, that fire, and you work with it and you spend the time and the daily practice of working with that, the most amazing thing starts to occur when that unravels, the anger, and the fire is no longer held within an energetic mass of pettiness or judgment or whatever. That fire then opens up all the areas within yourself that are creative, and it becomes your passion. The fire then, of course, becomes passion, not anger or reactivity, or not the word spontaneity. What's the other word for it? Impulsiveness that gets us a little into trouble. Not those things. Creativeness. And then you combine that creative fire with the tempering of water and the holding of earth and the wisdom of wind or air, and you can alchemize unbelievably different and fantastic creations in so many different ways. So it's a lot of cards. Let's take these two that flipped up. All right. Child of Boons. And boons is similar but not synonymous in this woman's deck with the earth or materials, the child of materials. And then Three of Spells, which has kind of its own entirely unique reference. And without reading the descriptions, I will say the descriptions are so wonderful of an enchantment on this deck. I highly recommend, if you get the deck, to enjoy both what the imagery pops up for you and the instructions. Okay. Aren't I talking just a bit today? I'm going to have some more tea while I look at these cards. Okay. The Three of Spells. These are the wishes that you once made. I'm feeling it was a time of darkness, and not, I mean, maybe darkness mentally and emotionally, but I'm seeing more a time where you're in your own secret spaces of yourself, maybe laying in bed at night, or sitting outside under the stars, or stowing away for a walk in the evening, or on a gray, kind of dreary, rainy day where you can tuck inside of yourself, and you made these wishes. And the wishes being represented by the candles that are being held on these little floaty boats of acorn shells. And acorns to me represent, or not acorns, excuse me, walnuts. Walnuts to me represent the mind. If you actually look at a walnut shell or a walnut, it has some incredible similarities to the look, structure, and anatomical design as the brain does. And so I'm seeing these wishes being carried by the brain, but being created by the fire, your passion, right? A fire that was alchemized into something creative, rather than something burning and destructive. And destructiveness can definitely lend to new life, just like a forest fire allows and enables the forest to replenish and all its creatures in a better way. So can fire burn down and destroy and create new. But these ones that are held by and protected by the mind, but floated upon the water, the seas of the consciousness, have this incredible balance. And here there's these wisps representing the wind. So all four elements, as I mentioned before, is coming along with these wishes, intermingling and supporting. And these little speckles of colorful stardust is coming from the wisher, not from her thoughts, but more from her entire beingness, an opening up of the self that doesn't need to know, the witness self, and allowing the wishes to pour out from her, sending them off upon the waters, trusting and knowing that they'll come back exactly as is right. And then here it is coming back. The child of boons, or boon. Let me take a peek here again. Now, there's an interesting, sub-warning. This is very Hansel and Gretel, right? The candy gingerbread house. And the child here representing not necessarily beginner's mind, but the lower octave of beginner's mind that is naive to a person's circumstances and hasn't learned from experience yet. And so I think that card coming up is a reminder. This is new territory. I just dropped a card. Oh, okay. That'll be too hard to get to without my dog's underneath the chair. And I keep dropping them. Here we go. He does not want to be disturbed. So to follow up with the child of boons is the Four of Challenges. And this is talking about remembering that there is always plenty in a time of starkness, in the heavy, dreary, deficient times of seasons of our life. There is always something that sprouts life. And here in the winter, I'm forgetting what this is. It hawthorn? That's coming to mind. This particular tree that produces edible berries to the wildlife in winter when nothing else is growing. So it's a reminder to be that within yourself and be that beacon of knowing, of self-nourishment and self-promise and self-hope, being dedicated and faithful within the self rather than what's in front of you. Because there are a lot of distractions in life, and they look yummy and they look really cool. But when you go within and you let that be your source of direction and reception of abundances and joy and all the things that'll bring you pleasure, then that is truly all you need. Okay, let's see if there's one more card. And I'll wrap this up. That almost came out. Well, you know what? Actually, I'm being called back to the Courage card. So let's take a peek at this one and see what else. There's so many wonderful things to read on each one of these. It is the age of the heart. It is the age of courage. Follow your heart, embark on a deeper, more meaningful soul journey. And through this challenge, reach out to what you desire beyond your comfort zone. Okay, you're being asked to follow your heart and embark on a deeper, more meaningful soul journey. Anything in life with any type of signature can be a challenge. Even an overtly joyful, abundant life can have its challenges. A very excited and busy life, no matter how wonderful and fulfilling it is, it has its challenges. And then we know, of course, times in our life where there's hardship or struggle, adversity, all the above, health challenges. Of course, those are their own unique sets of challenges. And I'm reading from this that it's reminding me when I continue to have the feedback loop mechanism from practice, daily practice of going into my heart. It is the age of the heart. It is the age of courage. I don't actually need to find courage and be courageous in any conventional sense of the word when I'm in my heart space and I'm letting my consciousness open up my being so more of my spirit can enter it and animate me and direct me in my life. I don't need to find courage. It just is. A plant that photosynthesizes doesn't need to find green. It just is. The alchemy occurs. Biochemical or magic or all the above, however you see it. So embark on a deeper, more meaningful soul journey for yourself. Explore ways, maybe they aren't the ways that I'm describing to you, but taking the time to be still and asking questions of yourself, and then sitting again in that stillness and that silence and see what presents itself to you. See what your more wise, knowledgeable self has to show you and teach you. And when you call upon that loving and benevolent and wise source of support, it shows up always. So be courageous, be your courage. Be in love with yourself, but let that be the love that is how you feel is loving. Love and feel yourself loving exactly how you would love in the best way anybody else that you deeply love. Be that unto yourself. And enjoy the love, my friends. Thank you for being here. I, again, would love to hear your comments, and thank you for likes. It supports this channel and supports me, lets me know you're out there. And if you have any thoughts or ideas on the herbal tea mixture, I'm always happy to hear what comes up for you and anything else. Much love, my friends. Have a blessed day.